the fact that the people appear to be speaking out. There were protests some weeks or a couple of months back against the UN offices there. And we've talked about it from the Ethiopian Eritrean perspective. Haitians have come on and talked about, and we've talked about, you and I, about the
Yeah.
role of the UN in the conflict in Rwanda that ended in 1994 and that ended with what we know as the Rwandan genocide now, and how so much of what led to that is the UN's involvement, that they were supposed to be peace negotiators, but they ended up negotiating a deal that just put fuel on the already really just horrific conflict that had been 3+ years at that point. So, you know, it's interesting to me to see the people using their voice. What do you see about that? The way that the people are mobilizing now, maybe that in a way that they weren't mobilizing before.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about the Congolese people is also the thing that I love about Ethiopian people and a few other countries on the continent. They do not, they don't die in silence. They always raise their voices no matter what, no matter who the opponent is and everything. That's why the Congo has never really been completely dominated by any one power since even before colonialism. So the people, first question was about the UN. Why are the people speaking out against the UN? The same reasons that people in Haiti were speaking out against the UN. The same complaints that people in Darfur, in Mali, in the Central African Republic, and many other places have against the UN, especially the UN so-called peacekeepers. And the reason is when they are there supposedly to protect the civilians, but instead they're actually just perpetuating their mission to collect the paychecks, and they do not care. They do not give a damn about the people themselves, and that part is the people have seen it. I mean, they also, in some cases, participate in abusing the people. In some cases, killing them. Some cases, abusing the women, especially, and uh, the the um the 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 people are rising and saying, you're spending or consuming $1 billion a month, and you are not actually protecting us. We have all these rebels, these M23 rebels that are out here killing us, and you're doing nothing. So the UN has been completely ineffective in the Congo. Now, the other thing that is a grievance in the Congo is the UN released a report in 2010 called the UN Mapping Exercise Report for Congo. Included in the Congo is the fact that Rwandan troops committed genocide inside of the Congo between the years 93 and 2003. The reason that report was actually issued was because there was mass graves found in the Congo. One of the recommendations, there are many recommendations in there, including reparations, but one of the recommendations in there is to actually create a tribunal to try the perpetrators of those crimes. But guess what? The international community has blocked it. The UN has laid down and put that report in the drawers and let it collect dust instead of actually setting up those tribunals to try the perpetrators that they themselves named, and instead they seem to be working with those criminals, the Paul Kagames and the Musevenis and so many of the criminals in that conflict in the Congo. So those are the grievances that the people have in the Congo, and there is hope because the people are rising. Because the people are taking a stand not only against the UN presence in the Congo, which is completely ineffective, but also against the invasion of Rwanda, and calling out the international community. And now is no more like what it used to be before. I love the hashtag no more in with Ethiopia, because now we are in the time of no more lies through mainstream corporate media where the people can have their voice. There are platforms like this and many platforms elsewhere that will actually air what those grievances are. And so that voice is no longer No more is that voice going to be muzzled. And I think the more that we know, like you're talking about it, we're connecting the dots between what's happening in Ethiopia, what's happening in the Congo, what's happening in the Sahel. All of these things are the same. All of these things are similar. And the more we connect, the more united we are of a front to actually free ourselves and to determine our own affairs, the faster we're going to succeed. And it's coming because it starts with people raising their voices, but it's
Right.
also on
And
us
like
to
we,
actually.
like we've talked about, sorry to interrupt you, Claude. I just wanted to connect a couple of things. Like we've talked about, the really the weapon in this all is recognizing that our stories are not that separate, that there's actually a lot of common themes in the struggle. And you can just look at the straight at the camera, just FYI. Yeah, you're good actually wherever you were looking. So it's just a recognition that there's similar forces, similar tactics, similar divisive tactics that makes you go into your, narrow Ethiopian bubble, narrow Rwandan bubble, narrow Congolese bubble, whatever it is, just repeat that over and over again, thinking that your story, even though you share the continent with so many other countries, this thought that your story is just so different from those countries around you has actually been one of the greatest tools
Yep.
um, of the West to be able to just continue to do what it's doing without really being challenged. I want to get your take on this. I would say that, or it looks to me, and this is something that I'm still trying to figure out in terms of what does the West, what does the U.S., what does France want in Africa, and it seems to me it's two things. It's control so that they can exploit, whether it's the resources or mostly the resources, but exploit the region. In the case of the Horn of Africa, it's a strategic region rather, where a lot of trade goes through it because it's near the Red Sea. It connects the continent with the Middle East, that what's called Western Asia area. So and it's $1 trillion trade route. And so the division is made for that, and they want to control in dominance, not share, but control. So would you say that that's what's happening with Rwanda and Congo? I mean, is
That
that what Paul
that
Kagame is good to the West for?
that is accurate. Um, so again, um, Paul Kagame is to the West what the TPLF is to the West in Ethiopia, what the Tuaregs in Mali are, and some of the forces in the Sahel are to the West, to the French, and to other Western powers. It's about one, access and control of the land through local puppets, using the local plantation managers to manage the plantation for the West. Secondly, it's the military control of the rest of the world, like ability to monitor the rest of the world, because these are all both very strategic locations. The Great Lakes region of Africa is a very strategic location. The Horn of Africa is a very strategic location, and very centrally located when you think about what you can access from those places. The second thing is the access to the resources isn't simply about just accessing the resources, is to subsidize the way of life of the West, of the Europeans and the Americans and the rest of the world that consumes the natural resources from those regions. What does now the next question is, so what does Kagame give them for him to remain the local plantation manager? Kagame is their local mercenary. Rwanda's military is actually a mercenary of the West. You look at a country like Mozambique right now in Cabo Delgado. The French did not send their troops there. They hired Kagame's troops to go to Cabo Delgado in Mozambique. Rwandan troops are in Mozambique against the wishes and the push by SADC, the region, the Southern African development community was actually against Rwandan troops being deployed there, but Rwandan troops were rushed and sent to Cabo Delgado instead of SADC troops, or ahead of SADC troops. Secondly, you look at a place like Haiti, where they had so-called peacekeepers. Some of them were Rwandans, by the way. They also were they're very abusive to the people. UN troops. I mean, Haitian people complain all the time about the UN troops in Haiti. You look at the Central African Republic. Rwandan troops are there, serving the interest of the West. You look at Mali. The leader of the peacekeeping mission there was a Rwandan general who is actually a wanted war criminal for crimes committed in the region in Rwanda and Congo. So Paul Kagame is the local mercenary for West for the West. Places where the West would rather not send their troops, they send Rwandan troops. So that is what he's trading in order to remain the local plantation manager for the West.